Rolly's Acmeda RR10 system offers a slim profile that is designed for efficient and smooth operation. I want to cover a couple of the key features. The RR10 system fits on a standard 1.5-inch wide dustboard, making it perfect for those narrow window openings, or perhaps the client just wants a lower profile. Now, the name RR10 makes it easy to remember that the system can hold up to 10 pounds and supports a shade with a maximum width of 72 inches and a maximum height of 72 inches. Now, we will be using the Rolly's Acmeda Chain Shield. Using the Chain Shield ensures compliance with child safety standards. And it also means that you no longer have to worry about mounting the chain on the wall. Having the right materials on hand will ensure a smooth and efficient assembly process. So here's a complete list of the supplies and components that you will need. A RR10 clutch, 2 of the Skyline narrow brackets, a 1.25 inch pinion, a 1.25 inch adapter, a retaining spear. Of course, you will need your 1.25 inch tube and your dustboard that has a 1.5 inch projection. You'll also need your aluminum tube clips. And as you will see a little bit later, I have used the Everclear rings on the back of my Roman shade. And to make my shade compliant, I will be using the ring locks along with a level lock. I will have some orbs on hand to help me balance my shade. I will use my shade cord, a lighter, and you'll see how I use that later. A pair of scissors on hand, 4 screws that will help me install my brackets onto my board. And I have used the hex head screws, and then a drill with a hex head bit. Now, I will say that I prefer using hex head screws because that's what my installer uses on the site. So if he has to make an adjustment, it makes it easier on him. But if you and your installer use a different type of screw, then feel free to use what is convenient for you. Now also, you will need the chain shield. Rolly's Acmeda Chain Shield was designed to create a simple and effective solution for any existing manual shading system. Now, the shield encases the chain, leaving 8 inches exposed to easily control the shade. Now, using the chain system ensures compliance with child safety standards. The chain shields are available in pre-cut, pre-drilled lengths to accommodate the different size shades. Today, we will assemble a chain shield using a 24-inch chain, 8-inch chain shield, and you will see that it has a plastic sleeve. This is to protect the shield, and it will be removed at the time of installation. Now, additional components needed to complete the assembly are 1 wheel, 2 funnels, 2 pair of binding posts, and a chain shield jig. First thing we're going to do is take the funnel and place it on the end of the jig. The wheel go right on top. I'm going to take the chain and insert it into the chain shield. And place it on the other post. Secure the chain right around the wheel. Other funnel and place it on top. Guide the chain shield to the end of the funnel pieces. remove them from the jig and sliding the chain shield up to where the holes align with the funnels. Now to complete the assembly, take a binding post and place it through the hole, and you can turn it over and then take the second binding post and slide right on top. Okay. You can use your mallet to secure them. I'm going to slide the plastic out of my way, and then I'm going to make sure that the chain is not twisted on the inside, and take the other female post and then place it on there, and take the male and push it down with my thumb and then secure it with the mallet. And there you have it. You can see how easy, quick it is to assemble the chain shield. Now that your chain shield is fully assembled, I'm going to demonstrate how you will take and attach the chain to your clutch. Begin by using the end of the chain that is coming from the top of your chain shield. I'm going to give it a pinch, and then I will slide it through the guide right here on the side of the clutch. We'll then pinch the end of my clutch, and then you can see how it will separate, and I can use my finger to pull out the wheel, and then take my chain and place it right inside of the grooves of the wheel, and just wrap it right around like this. Give it a little pull down through the guide. I'm making sure that the chain is secure inside the wheel. Let me just turn it around, because I'm right-handed, then I can push it right back down. And that's all there is to attaching the chain to the clutch. I'll now guide you through the steps of assembling this system and attaching it to the dustboard. So you can go ahead and attach your finished shade to your dustboard. Now, I don't go through these steps on how to do that, because there are so many different ways that I will defer to you to use a method that you are accustomed to, right? So once your shade is on your dustboard, you can turn it over and attach the brackets. Now, if you can see here, I have already attached one of the brackets and 3-drilled my holes on the opposite side. So I'm going to take the narrow mounted, or the narrow bracket, I should say. Make sure my screw is going in the right direction. Here, that one. Now, I like to place my bracket about 1/8 of an inch in on each side. And I do this because it gives me a little bit of a wiggle room on an inside mount shade. And also, if I am attaching my fabric side tabs, I don't want my bracket to push on them and push them out. All right. Now that my brackets are securely attached to my dustboard, I can go ahead and move it out of the way. Now, this is a 1 1/4 inch tube, and I have cut the tube 1 1/4 inch smaller than the finished width of my dustboard to ensure a perfect fit. Okay. Now, the clutch attached to the chain shield. And now, in order for the clutch to fit inside of this tube, you can see here it's a little loose. We need to attach the adapter. Now you can see there's a little groove right here into the clutch, and we can just slide the adapter right on top, push it in, right? Next, we're going to insert the retainer. Now the retainer will keep the system inside the brackets during transportation from your studio to the client's space. You know, many times our shades are during transportation, they come out of the brackets, but these will keep them in. All you have to do is see that there is a pointed end, and I call these their little legs. And if you look down into the center of the clutch, you will see where this will slide right into. Take it and you push it in. If you turn it over and you push it right in there, and you can see where the little feet have come out of the end there. Right? That's ready to go into your tube. And if you look, you'll find that there's a little groove here, and the clutch has a little indentation, and you will slide the indentation right over the little groove, and then you will take your pin in, and I will show it where the groove is, and you'll take the little pin in and slide it right in to the tube as well. Okay, now we're ready to place it onto the bracket. Shade back, and I like to insert the pin in first, and then we can slide it into the other side. You can hear it snap, and you can see where the retainer is poking through the hole here in the bracket. And again, that's what's going to keep it secure during transportation. But before we get started, it's important to note that whether you have a manual operated or motorized shade, the steps that you will be taking will remain the same. To ensure that the shade is compliant with child safety standards, I have sewn the forever rings on the back of the shade 8 inches apart, and we'll be stringing it using ring locks. Let's begin by marking the tube for the placement of your C-clips. Now to do this, I find that it's handy if I take my system and align it side to side, and just where I can see the top of the first row of rings. And I will take my ruler, and I'm going to align my ruler to the center of my ring. And I'm going to make a mark on my tube 2 inches in, because we want to offset our clips 2 inches in from our row of rings. And I'll come to the other side, and I will do the same. Okay, I can see the center of my ring, a 2-inch mark, and I'll make a pencil mark right there. Now, this shade only has 2 rows of rings, but if you had additional rows of rings, then you would do the same. You will offset them either to the right of that row or to the left of that row 2 inches. Next, you're going to cut your shade cord. I cut mine the finished length of my shade plus 10 inches. Then we will insert it into the hole on the top of the clip. Now, this is my personal preference to go through both of the holes. Some may only go through one. I want to make sure that my cords are secure, and I will do anything I can to avoid any callback. So I've inserted into one of the holes and down the other. Then now I'm going to tie a knot large enough to keep it from coming through those holes. And so I'll give it a little pull, so that's nice and secure. And I'll do the same to the other. Now, top and down the edge, on the other side, say. And again, just do some little knots. securing the cord so it does not pull through the holes. Next step I'm going to take is I am going to go to the end of the cord, and with the lighter, I want to seal the end. So carefully, I will just touch it and real quick pull on the end. Be careful not to singe your fingers. We do this so that the cord will slide through the hole in the ring lock. Let's now attach the C-clips to our tube. Now, when placing your C-clip on the tube, you want to make sure that the cord is coming out of the C-clip in the direction of the row of rings. Okay? Now you're just going to take the C-clip, and I always find one of the grooves on the tube, so line the edge of the C-clip along that groove like this. And here's my 2-inch mark, and I just snap it down. Okay, so I will do the same on the other side, making sure that my cord is coming out on the left-hand side, and I will find that same groove along that 2-inch mark, slide this down and snap it into place. Then take my cord and run it under the tube. And doing the same on the opposite side. I've turned the shade so that you have a better view of how I string the shade. Now, for every ring, you will have a ring lock. I've placed them here in the row. And for the bottom of the shade, you will need an additional ring lock, a level lock, and then, like I said, I will be using the orbs just to help me balance and align my shade. So we'll take the ring lock and place it on top of the ring, and then take our cord and slide it through the little hole in the ring lock. Same. This is a pretty quick process, and it really does go smoother when you have singed the end of that cord. Now, this is the last ring in this row, and I will now pull my cord all the way through, and I will take my level lock and the level lock, you can see, has a little cutout. I'm going to take that cutout and place it in the little groove of the ring lock. Take my cord and run it through the hole. Making sure that it goes through the hole of the level lock. Okay, so now it's loose on the bottom, but this is where the orb comes in. I'm going to take and insert my orb into the bottom. And I'm going to slide it right up, maybe about 1/4 of an inch from the last ring lock. Now, I will be using the orb to help me make the final adjustments on the shade. Once the final adjustments are made, then I will secure that row of rings by locking in the level lock and removing the orb. Now I will finish stringing the shade. Attaching, placing the level lock into the ring lock, sometimes it does pop out, cord through, and attaching the orb. Now that I have strung my shade, I will place it onto the valet to make my final adjustments and lock in the level locks. Placing your shade on a valet or maybe even L brackets that are extended from the ceiling will allow you to, number one, make sure that your system is operating correctly. And it will also allow you to make any final adjustments to ensure that your shade is properly aligned. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I have 17.5 on this side, and I have 17.5 on this side. Now, should I need to make any adjustments, that's where the orbs come in. I can easily slide my orbs up or down to make sure that my shade is aligned. This one happens to be in alignment, so now all I have to do is lock those level locks in, remove the orb, and tie some knots to secure. And I will show you a close-up on that. Now, I normally do this step while my shade is up on the valet, but in order for me to give you a close-up, I need to put it onto the table. Now, this is my last row of rings, and here I have my level lock and my orb. So I'm going to pull it out just so you can see it better. Okay, now I need to make sure that my level lock in the ring lock is up against my orb. Okay, and you can see the level lock is kind of loose inside. If you look closely, you will see that the level lock, the flat side of the level lock, is facing up. Now here is a little close-up view of a level lock, and you will see that it has a dome side and it has a flat side. And as I mentioned, the flat side is facing up. We are now going to grab that level lock and we're going to turn it. And I can go ahead and turn it, let go of the ring lock and turn it. Okay. And now the dome side is facing up. So we now need to snap it in place. I'm going to push it with my fingers, keeping it up against the orb. And like I said, when it's on the valet, it's easier. And you're going to push it to hear a little snap. Okay? And now you will see if I grab hold of it, let me grab hold of the string here, that it no longer moves. It is locked into place. Now I can take and remove my orb. And I'm going to take and do a little double knot down at the bottom. And some of you may not find it necessary to make this little knot. But again, I want to make sure that my shade is secure in every way that I can so that I don't have any callbacks. I'm doing a double knot because a double knot will not fit through should the level lock come undone, which I doubt that it will. The cord will not come through the hole in the ring lock. Again, this is just a personal preference, and you may not find it necessary. Okay, there you go. now that your shade is complete, it's ready to install. Now I have just a couple of tips for you. For an outside mounted shade, the most common and reliable way to install the shade is by using L brackets. But you want to ensure that your L brackets are level and positioned in a way that do not interfere with your brackets on the underside of the dustboard. You're simply going to secure your L bracket on the wall and then place your shade on top, and then secure that with new screws. Thank you for following along in this video series, and I certainly hope that you enjoy using the Rolexac Mita Roman shade systems for all of your Roman shade needs.